What's up, yo, buddy, I'm Domuto. We're back with another video. Today we're watching Dragon Ball Kakumei, and this one's called The New Gods of Destruction Arrive. The Mother Angels out the Grand Priest. Ooh, shit. Okay, Grand Priest. Alright. Alright, Grand Priest, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, let's get into it. Sure.
As our story continues following the initial events of Beerus having to battle Goku in space, as the narration went on to inform us, a few minutes earlier on Beerus' planet, Whis went on to ask, "How do you feel now, Goku? Your fight has taken on too great proportions," as Goku responds, "Yes, I'm sorry. I was so obsessed by the possibility of defeating Lord Beerus that I might have gone too far." "Defeating me?" Beerus asks.
Oh,
"Die
shit.
with your mouth wide open, unconscious young mortal." "I'm not so young anymore," Goku responds. "So get up, Goku," Whis says. "It's time to heal you." "Oh, alright. However, if possible, I'd like to keep this one," Goku says as he proceeded to point on his back. He then went on to continue, "I'll remove it when I'm able to inflict that kind of injury on Lord Beerus." And Beerus goes on to sit back up by responding, "Touch me if you can." Whis says, "Good." And as Whis is shown having to heal Goku, it's interesting to see how Goku actually wants to keep this battle scar on his back, only because he wants to use this to some extent as motivation in inflicting the exact same injury onto Beerus, in which as Goku is then healed, he then went on to respond, "It's as effective as the sensu beans. It could be very useful in critical times," as Whis responds, "In short, it's angel powers," in reference to his healing ability. But then Whis notices a few petals having to stroll on by his face, as he then went on to ask, "I see. Shin allowed himself some liberties." "Yeah, and I don't like that at all," Beerus says. "What are you planning to do now, Goku?" Whis asks. "Well, I don't really know, to be honest. Anyway, I still have this power to master," Goku responds. "I don't think there is a greater power above Ultra Instinct, and yet I didn't even manage to win. First with Jiren and now with Lord Beerus. But other than that, I think I'll go back to my wife and children. Chi-Chi must be worried to death," Goku says. And as soon as we then see how Whis is just about to take Goku home, Goku then went on to ask, "By the way, Whis, you didn't tell me what you were planning to do," as Whis responds, "I have to go check something. I have a bad feeling." And as soon as they end up taking off, Goku rather than becomes intrigued by this, as he then went on to ask, "What could be causing all of you people to be this worried?" But Whis does not say a word, but instead he continues to travel, as he then went on to respond, "I feel a new presence, a tremendous force concentrated in one point that was not there before." And for a brief moment as they continue to travel with both Goku and Whis remaining eerily quiet, Goku then removes his hand from Whis' back and placing it on his shoulder, in which as he did, Goku then went on to tell Whis, "Let me handle it," as Whis went on to turn his head by responding, "Remove your hand." Which again, one must ask about the severity of the situation, especially if Whis is telling Goku to remove his hand from his shoulder, because during that point, as Whis went on to tell him this, Goku did not remove his hand, as Whis went on to then tell him, "Remove it." As there was a surge of energy that then had gone through Goku's hand, with Goku having to see this, there was more so tension now between Whis and Goku than we've ever seen go down in Dragon Ball Super before, as all Goku was really suggesting for here was for him to insert himself in this situation in handling it, but Whis does not want him to do that, as Whis then went on to tell Goku, "It is not your job to handle the problems of the universe," as if it were the first time, Goku says. "Of course it's my job, trust me." "Alright," Whis says, "but I am unable to come with you now. The Grand Priest just summoned me. If you need me," Whis says, "then all you'll have to do is press this button." In which, similar to the Omni King, Whis hands on over a button to Goku, as Goku responds, "Thank you, Whis." So one could only imagine as to the severity of what's really going on behind the scenes, because Goku really wants to figure out as to what the heck is going on in offering his services to help, as Whis went on to then tell him, "If you want my opinion, this is clearly not reasonable."
Like this.
"I won't disappoint you, Whis," Goku says, but as soon as we then get to see how Whis then makes a turn, all of a sudden both Whis and Goku stop, because they then oversee something that seems to be blocking their path, and by no means have we ever seen both Whis and Goku seemingly troubled and serious about something at hand, because as soon as Goku and Whis seem to be observing something, the narration went on to state Universe 0. "What's that, Whis?" Because Goku doesn't seem to know what the heck this is, because this is actually appearing within Universe 7 as well, as we only then make our way back to the Grand Priest's palace, the Mother of the Angels then went on to tell the Grand Priest, I never abandoned you. Let me tell you about this imposter's past. He provoked a genocide and believed himself at the level of the Omni Kings. Enough, the Grand Priest says. Stand. As the Grand Priest then proceeded in releasing this energy that seemingly went on to shock the Mother of the Angels, as the other angels seemed to be bowing down, the other angels seemed to be questioning this, as the angels went on to ask, Father, explain yourself. Who is this angel-looking woman? As the Grand Priest responds, she is indeed an angel, more so, she is your mother. And she is not totally lying to you, he says. The 19th universe of which I spoke was particularly united and powerful. It released a monstrous strength and threatened the balance established by the Omni King. Something had to be done quickly, and so without the king knowing it. Act quickly, the mother says. Expanding space-time may be a brief action for you, but it is not what I would call dying fast to feel time tear apart the bodies of innocent people per billions. It may have only lasted for a single second for you, but for us, it was several tens of billions of years, dear priest. As the Grand Priest then responds, as I did not have the powers of the kings. I have, as I said, not found another alternative, and the angels are shocked because it would appear as though the claims of this mysterious woman is in fact true, and the Grand Priest to some extent did go as far as to wipe out these said universes only because, as there was a great power beginning to display itself as it began to threaten the very fabric of balance itself, and so the Grand Priest had to do something about it. As the Mother of the Angels went on to respond, did you hear that? Your father found it wiser to cover up his barbaric act than to simply be honest with the king. But do not blame the Grand Priest, she says. None of this is his fault nor that of the king. As we then venture on over and taking a look at both Universe 12 and Universe 11, there seems to be something going on to where even these current gods of destruction such as Belmont and Jin notice something, as Jin went on to respond, what's going on up there? Hey, Belmont says, I recognize these energies. What we really blame, the Mother of the Angels says, is the system they set up that forced your father to act. As it was only then right then and there during this moment where we get to see how there was a portal opened in which there were many individuals having to be shown coming on through, and as we get to see who these individuals actually were, they were in fact not only other angels but also other gods of destruction. As the Mother of the Angels went on to comment, what an irony. Thanks for taking the pressure off, Cancel, one of the individuals says. What a strange feeling to return to this place, another says. These are the faces I am more than familiar with. As the current angels comment, they are gods and angels of destroyed universes? Still sharp as a tack, Whis, one of the other angels says. Hope you didn't miss us too much, one of the gods utters. Behave yourself and bow down. Well, well, it's been a long time. Glad to see you again, the other angels and gods respond. I feel like I've slept 100 times more than that damn Beerus, one of the mummy destroyers says. No one is injured, another destroyer asks. We're just in time. The party hasn't even started. Stay calm, Aloros, another utters, as Vados comments, look over there, Whis. Yes, I saw, Whis says, as a very familiar pair of legs begin to touch on down. It just so happens that these pair of legs belong to none other than that of Golden Frieza, as indeed
that should look clean, as Golden Frieza that should look clean.
The new gods that have just entered the Grand Priest.
That shit look fire. I ain't gonna cap.
Palace, as Golden Frieza went on to utter, ho ho ho, good evening, gentlemen. I have been looking forward to meeting you. I especially wanted to thank Whis in person. Do you see where this excessive neutrality leads you, another angel asks. Frieza, Whis utters. I think I understand what you are planning to do, because it only now appears as though the Angel Twist is the attendee to that of Frieza, who is a god of destruction of Universe 18, with Whis then shown having to approach Frieza. He then comments, I knew when I had brought you back to life that you wouldn't have stayed to do nothing, but to go that far? Do not underestimate me, Golden Frieza says. This is just a foresight. Upon information from Zuno, the commanders of my army have informed me of the appearance of these new universes. It is surprising that Zeno had to destroy the 18th universe so much his god of destruction was miserable, and according to Twist, he disagreed with his universe's behavior. He obviously did not have the making of a revolutionary, with of course Frieza insinuating that he took up the position that this current destroyer did not want to take up, in which he did, because as soon as Frieza went on to learn about this in firing at this former god of destruction, Frieza condescendingly enough went on to inform the god, "Oh, how unfortunate, I missed you. I beg your pardon," one of the gods asks, as only then out of nowhere Frieza had then proceeded in blowing a hole through this destroyer's chest, as Frieza went on to tell him, obviously it goes better with the left. "Throw up a little more," Frieza says, "this outfit is too tight for you anyway. Somebody had to fix this." His importance was disconcerting. I wonder how he managed to even become a god of destruction. Heck, no matter. None of this concerns you, he says, as we get to see how Frieza did in fact become a god by actually killing one. It was only then as Whis went on to overhear this where he went on to comment, "I don't quite understand the point of having to come to this point. Anyway, it does not concern me. You are right," as Frieza responds, "Would you regret my resurrection?" As Whis remains quiet by responding, "You are unconscious, Frieza. You have no idea of where you step." Because although Frieza seems to be bragging and gloating about how he became a god to begin with, he seems to be further antagonizing Whis by asking him about his resurrection and going as far as to kind of mock Whis, as Frieza then went on to continue, "Well, it is all to your credit to take this risk. However, would you please tell me where Goku is?" Son Goku, the Grand Priest asks. "What does he have to do with him?" "Father, I had spotted Universe Zero before you had summoned me. I agreed to let him scout, but I lost contact and he is not using the button I gave him. I can't reach him or distinguish his presence in the condensed aura that forms in Universe Zero." "Are you talking about the mortal who came in screaming like a donkey right in our headquarters?" one of the destroyers asks. "Don't worry, we welcomed him as it should be," as the Grand Priest then went on to say to himself, "Why are they keeping Son Goku imprisoned? Our power is far beyond of his. He is not a threat for them. Does he have any sensitive information?" As the Mother of the Angels responds, "Don't act like an ignorant Kaishi, you know exactly why we used him." And as we only then make our way in finding out what happened to Goku, we only then get to see how Goku was in fact chained up and sealed away within Universe Zero, in being shown battered, bruised, bloody, and injured, as Goku went on to shout, "You cowards, get back here! What do you want from me?" But then, given that the chains seemed to be emitting some kind of energy, Goku went on to put his head back down by commenting, "I'm sorry, Whis." "What are your demands?" the Grand Priest asks. "The absolution of the divine hierarchy," one of the destroyers responds, "and the removal of that neutrality that you're so obsessed with." As these former gods of destruction and angels seem to mean business, in knocking over several objects around the Grand Priest, one of the angels went on to shout, "Father!" "Stay calm," the Grand Priest says. "Father, it's this mentality that blocks you," the Grand Priest says. "Do not panic." And it was this hierarchy that during the tournament erased the gods but not the angels? Knowing all of this, how could you claim yourself a guide? One of the mummy destroyers asks. "No more games," another destroyer comments. "It's time to make things happen." And with this destroyer having to be shown stepping up to the Grand Priest doesn't seem to be backing down, as he went on to respond,
you ain't about to punt the Grand Priest.
"What will you do? What can you do?" the Grand Priest asks, as the Mother of the Angel then went on to put her foot forward in having to lean on over by telling him a war between deities on a multiversal scale is about to happen. The revolution starts now. Every individual, mortal or not, will have to choose his side. Only one will remain. Let's fight for a new world with perfect balance, she says. But the Grand Priest was not having it, because from there, the Grand Priest had gone on by raising his hands up in such a way that it only then appeared as though the Grand Priest was just about to use a tremendous amount of power in doing something that affected all of the other angels and destroyers, as the Grand Priest went on to stick his arms out by commenting, "Irarop met Dao," as this went on to seal the gods and the other angels in place, as something unusual begins to happen with the Grand Priest, as blood seems to be pouring out of his nose, with the other angels having to step forward and commenting, Father, are you okay?" "Don't worry, cuss," the Grand Priest responds. "What have you done to them?" "I froze them in time and space. but it's not over yet. We have to teleport them to Universe 0 and freeze them in its turn. But isn't that dangerous for your health, Cuss asks? Cuss, come on. Don't be ridiculous. Help me, Cocktail Whis responds. We have to gather all of the Supreme Kais with Kibito. There will be 13, and that should be enough. And as we then get to see how all of the Supreme Kais are then beginning to gather from the other universes, Cocktail went on to respond, I greet you, dear Supreme Kais. Whis has summarized the situation. Do you think you are
It's a good story, I ain't gonna lie.
As Kibito went on to respond, this will not be an easy task,
bad, but it's good.
but with 13 of us, we should be able to succeed. As Whis responds, come on, let's stop the formalities. Stand up. Good, the Grand Priest says. Let's continue, as we only then make our way back to Earth, and seeing how everyone seems to have a picnic with Android 17 being present, Majin Buu, a grown-up Goten, Hercule, and Krillin, Chi-Chi seems to be worried because she's trying to figure out as to where Goku is, as even Goten went on to ask, how is Mom? I'm not sure, Videl asks. Are you okay? Yes, Chi-Chi says. Come on, Videl says. He's just late. You know him. You must be right, Chi-Chi says, as she goes on to wipe the tears from her face. We only then pan on over to Gohan, who seems to be fixing his tie, and Gohan seems to look sharp, he's focused, he seems to be getting ready for something, as he went on to comment, the sky looks beautiful. Dad hasn't arrived yet, as an awkward silence is then bestowed
What happened to the tie?
That's when Gohan continues, well, I see. Let's each, but then Gohan went on to look on up by responding, oh, what's that? As we only then even venture out into Universe 11 and seeing how Jiren seems to be tangoing with a massive gargantuan creature, it's extremely fascinating to even see how Jiren seems to be training and battling these monsters until he also seems to notice something up in the sky as it went on to catch his attention, as while at the same time when going back to Universe 6 and seeing what Hit was up to, Hit was simply doing his job. He was assassinating people that he was hired to take out, which I absolutely love because Hit seems to be blending within the crowd and doing what he did until he himself once again had noticed something up in the sky, as even on planet Sadala we get to see how Caulifla, Kaba, and Kale seem to be training, as Kaba proceeded to greet himself to both Kale and Caulifla, with Caulifla being shown just finishing her push-ups. She then went on to respond, whew, 20,000. Hi, Crawler, what you doing here? As Kaba responds, nothing.
I like this. I like this right here.
Huh? What
God
is that?
damn,
Kaba
that guy-
says.
that guy-
What are you talking about? Caulifla asks.
Caulifla
Well,
looking-
look, what's that ball? Huh? No idea.
Crazy
Kale
on you,
says.
boy.
Check it out, Kale. There's a ball in the sky. Weird, Kale says. Doesn't really matter. But then, simultaneously at the same time, a voice seems to be coming from the other side, as this voice went on to shout, everyone listen to me. I am the Grand Priest of the Multiverse, and I come to you to bring you direct orders of the one you call God. Why would the Grand Priest want to talk to us through a giant ball, Kaba asks. I address myself to all life forms present in this world. An evil angel rebelled against me, and I froze her for a period of 2 years. A war between universes will start once this delay is over. Every single individual will have to be ready to choose a side. Piccolo, what does that mean? Gohan asks. Oh boy, Caulifla says. Jiren, did you also see this? Yes, Jiren says. Wait, Krillin responds. Hey, did you guys hear that? Because everyone seems to be shocked and in utter disbelief that the Grand Priest is requiring for every single one of the mortals in banding together for this massive battle to come. As we only then take a look at Goku being frozen within Universe 0, it was only then where the Beyond Dragon Ball Super Kakumei manga chapter number 2 special then comes to a close. Now, I was absolutely blown away by the level of detail and art for this manga chapter, specifically when the new gods were introduced, because more often than not, some people will say that these characters were overly designed or they were kind of made out to be a bit edgy, when I would totally disagree to say that most of these new gods of destruction look very, very intimidating. And to even go as far enough as to see Golden Frieza become a god of destruction himself by massacring one of the other former gods was definitely a great homage and callback to the original Dragon Ball Kakumei manga, which the only real criticism that I have for this manga chapter is the dialogue, because it is translated from French to English, to where some of the sentences and conversations kind of felt a little off, but I can ultimately understand given the fact that it is translated from French, which I ultimately do hope they approve upon in fixing the translations a bit more going forward. But either way, one of the other many things that I loved was seeing how these other destroyers and these other angels were stepping up to the Grand Priest, in where the Grand Priest was then forced in sealing these entities away within space-time, even for a brief moment. I'm not sure as to why the Grand Priest was shown being tired or at least bleeding bleeding from his nose and sealing these entities away, when we actually know that within the main canonical series of Dragon Ball Super, the Grand Priest is stated to have so much power that, in my opinion, even if he were able to perform such a feat in sealing these entities away, that it really shouldn't cause the Grand Priest to drop on down to a knee or bleed from his nose or even be exhausted to begin with. But either way, I do think that there is a plan going forward involving said characters and the Grand Priest, so I can't really wait to see what's about to happen, especially with Goku now being chained up and sealed away and finding out what's going to happen next involving him. So I can't wait to see what manga chapter number 3 has in store for us. Which again,
that's nothing but fire. Goku got Goku prison. Niggas about to start training. Alright, I love a nice little training arc, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna see what's about to happen, man. The art style was beautiful, man. I can't wait the next part, man. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, man. Watch the last chapter right here. Watch another UnrealEntGaming story right here, man. And you know what I'm saying? I'll catch you next time. Peace.